What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mojo Homestead. This is going to be a video on how to cure your sweet potatoes. So really, it's just a follow-up of the video that we put up about 2 weeks ago, which I'll link right here. In case you missed that, go watch that. It's all about sweet potato growing, harvesting, all of that stuff. But admittedly, we forgot to talk about the curing process, which is very important. So that's what we're going to do today. When you're curing sweet potatoes, it really is easy. The reason you want to do it is because that's when all of those sugars and starches are developed. So you're going to get a sweeter vegetable by allowing it to cure. You don't have to allow it to cure. You can harvest them and eat them straight out of the ground, but the flavors aren't going to be quite as complex like the flavors that we're used to when we eat a sweet potato. The first thing to note is, unlike a lot of your other vegetables, especially root vegetables that you're curing, sweet potatoes don't really need a cool, dark place. They actually need a warm, dark place. It doesn't have to be super dark. It can just be low light. We have cured ours outside in the shade and they've been totally fine. The curing process is going to take about 2 weeks. You can cure them a little bit longer, but most of the time, like within that 2-week period, your sugars and starches are going to be fully developed and ready to be stored. But what we mean when we say warm place, ideally you want it around 70 degrees, 70 to mid 70 degrees. That is Fahrenheit. So a little bit warmer than your like normal indoor temperature. What we did with ours this year is we actually just let them cure in our kitchen because, like most people, if you're using your kitchen and you're cooking, that is the warmest room in the house. And so by doing that, we were able to have them in that temperature and keep them out of direct sunlight. One thing you want to watch for on sweet potatoes, before you start curing, you really want to check all of these, but also just kind of keeping an eye on through curing, is the size. So these guys are pretty small. They will cure fine, but you're going to want to use them shortly after because they will just continue to shrivel up and not be edible. So these are the ones that we look for, that we will definitely go to first. If you're used to doing like baked potato style or something like that, you can't use these. What we like to do with these is just chop them up into little pieces, about 1/2 inch, kind of cubed, and roast them. Wonderful that way. It also helps to bring out even more of those sugars. Look for the size, use the small ones first. They're not going to keep long term. The other thing you want to look for are any defects in the potato. So that would be dark spots like these right here. Any cracks. This one's a perfect example. This was actually our biggest one. It's huge. But any cracks, and then any holes like right here. And really with those, you're just kind of keeping an eye on them. Dark spots could be problematic or they may not be a big deal. On this particular potato, they're not a big deal. They've hardened off, they've calloused over, it's fine. Any discoloration, dark spot or anything like that, it seems to be a little bit soft. That is a obvious indicator that the inside of that potato is no longer edible, and you're probably just going to want to throw it out altogether because it's already begun the rotting process. You smell it, right on that dark spot. It'll smell sweeter and almost have like a fermented smell to it. So the reason why you get those dark spots that begin to rot in the potato is typically because the soil was too wet or stayed wet too long. So that tuber was saturated and it caused that potato to begin to rot. You can cut it out, but most of the time that's already started to work its way all the way through. If you are able to cut it out and get to a good potato inside, that is perfect. You can cure it just like that. It will callus over on that cut side, that exposed side, and probably not be problematic down the road. I would use any of those that you had to do that to first because they aren't going to be able to keep quite as long. So the other thing is cracks. Make sure they callus over like this one did. If they callus over, you're fine. And then lastly, the other blemish or any holes. Holes and cracks are due to conditions in the soil. Cracks are because of irregular watering. A lot of times that's out of our control because of rain and stuff like that. It's when the tuber goes through a rapid growth rate, kind of like tomatoes, because of a boost in water or irrigation, and it causes it to crack. The holes are due to pests, long, thin insect that gets in there and starts to eat them. Typically on these big ones, in our experience, it's just like little craters all over this. So it's just not very aesthetic, but as far as edible and stuff like that, it's typically fine. But those are areas that can cause rot. So I hope this was helpful for you. And if you grew sweet potatoes, I hope you had a great harvest. Once you get them all cured, they are ready to store, and you do want to store them in a cool, dark place once you do that. Definitely not in your refrigerator. Sweet potatoes do not like cold. So keep them out of your refrigerator. Just in like a dark pantry would be just fine. Also, just like potatoes and some of your other roots, you do want to have pretty decent airflow around them. So you don't want to like keep them in like a plastic bag or something like that. But other than that, they're ready to go and they store for a long time. So thank you guys for joining me today. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down in the comments below. We'll try to get back to you on that. Outside of that, have a great week and be blessed.